that was a hunt, let me tell you. Okay, so you have your acetate pieces here. I'm gonna put that nail file away. Alright, so you're gonna be using these now. I'm just gonna keep them set there. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna sandwich our acetate onto this piece here. And that's gonna be the top part of the sandwich. So for that, I am going to use 1/8 of an inch score tape. Okay, and I'm going to do this for all of my acetate pieces, all 3 of them. So first I have to find, and I'm going to go right along the edge. Okay. Long ways. And I'm running it right along this edge, as you can see, of my window pieces. You guys can still see that okay. You get the gist. All right. Okay, I'm gonna run along here. And again, if you find you have an adhesive that works with acetate, go ahead and use it. I'm not going to use it because I'm like super messy crafter girl. And basically, I'm worried that I'm going to get glue, and I'm going to put too much glue. And then what I'm going to have is a mess of glue on my acetate. So that is why I'm just going to use this score tape. Okay. And if this paint is really bunchy, just sand it off with your nail file. Alright. And the other reason I don't want to use glue on this is because this art glitter glue dries really, really fast. And I'm not going to get to the end in time. I know it. So I'm going to burnish this down. Okay. I'm going to do more pieces along here. Another piece here. Now, if you want to put score tape on all of those pieces, that's fine. I find that this will be enough to hold it on. Okay, but if you want to do that, you're going to want to take off. Okay, now it doesn't matter which side you start with at this point because these doors line up. You're going to want to take off the score tape that you have running lengthwise and then set this down. Just makes life easier. Some people will go like this, and then they break it off, and then they go like this. I'm sorry, I don't have the patience for that. So I'm just going straight across. And this is a Teflon bone folder, and it doesn't stick to the score tape, so I can just burnish it down really well after I get this on. Okay. So like that. And I'm just going to do this side first. Okay, and I'm going to show you. Now, this is exposed, so don't stick this down here, just saying. So this is how it's going to line up. Alright. If you want, again, you can do both sides with score tape and run it all the way across. For time's sake, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to stick this right down. So we have our bigger piece, and if you notice, you have enough for 1/8 of an inch all the way around. That's why I'm using 1/8 of an inch score tape. Okay, because I want this extra to be able to glue it down. All right, and that's already pre-cut with your kit, so you're not gonna have a problem with that. Okay, I'm gonna start by peeling all of this off. There's the one that, glad I didn't do them all. And because it is the laser and I've matched everything up, you don't have to worry too much about lining this up, because you will see by the shininess of your score tape where to set your acetate. Okay, so it's approximately just a little over 1/8 of an inch there. I'm going to set it down so I know it's straight. So I'm lining it up with the score tape, and then I'm going to set it down. Okay, and I'm going to burnish this. So that was this is what side's going to be facing out. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I am going to take all of this off. And actually, before I do that, I'm going to show you. So it lines up perfectly. So when you're going to stick it together, you want to glue everything too. And you're going to just stand it up like that. And then it's all going to be perfectly even. Okay. So I'm just going to take all of this off first. Garbage. And again, like I said, you can go in all around. I've done it on one side. I think that's going to be enough. Okay. And if you're using a different kind of glue, remember, sand this first because you've painted it. Okay. And I'm going right along this edge, and I'm putting quite a bit so it doesn't dry before I get around there. On top of my magnet. There we go. Okay. And I'm not gluing that. So I'm going to take these two pieces and I'm going to stand it up on its side or on the end. It doesn't really matter. I'm matching them up, and then I'm going to stick it together like that. And stand it up. And it's all perfect. Okay, and I'm just pushing it down so that the glue sticks really well. Okay, and I'm going to wipe off any excess glue here. I have. Do the same on this side here. I got some glue sticking out, a little bit of glue there sticking out, and I'm going to squish it down as I go along, because the score tape leaves a little bit of thickness there. Okay, so on the corners, just so you get a little help, just grab some clothespins. Okay, and you can just grab the clothespin, and that'll help. This actually is together pretty good. This one here is together good. It's not separating, and you'll see like there's a little bit of a separation. That's because of the acetate, right? So the acetate and the score tape have a bit of a thickness, so if you put enough glue in there, you're not going to have to worry about it. But you can put this on here while it's drying, and I'm going to put that there because I know that's where my magnet is, because I have two holes there marking it. All right, and now I'm going to set that aside for a bit and let that all dry. And this goes with it, so I'm going to set that there for a minute. I'm going to do these two next. Okay, now these pieces are going to go in a 1/2 inch, okay, from either side. 1/2 inch this way, 1/2 inch this way, and 3/8 of an inch from the bottom. Okay, so that is where you want to line it up. I am going to eyeball it, but if you guys want to, if you don't trust yourself with that, just go 1/2 an inch in, 1/2 an inch in, and then from the bottom, 3/8 of an inch. Okay, that is the measurement for that. So I'm going to continue on. And I'm going to do this acetate on these ones. Okay. just make sure you leave enough room to glue it on, okay? So that's why I left this space here. So exact same as before. Okay. This one too. Okay. Push this down. Here is the first piece, and I'm just going to set it down there to show you. Now this piece is a little wide. And I'm not exactly sure. Oh, I remember why. So these you're not sandwiching. Okay, you're actually setting this right on top of here. So if you want to, you can, it goes almost right to both edges. All right, you still have your 1/8 of an inch top and bottom, but if you wanted to score tape this down, you can, because we're not sandwiching it. All right, it's basically going to set on top of there like that. Okay, so that's why I did that. But if you want to glue it, you can trim it. If you're not too sure about the glue you got, I'm going to just trim mine down a tad. Okay, so I can show you both ways. I have two. So I trimmed off like an 1/8 of an inch. And that was it. Okay, set that up there. And now it will be exactly an 1/8 of an inch all the way around. Okay, so you can see the shininess. Okay, so same thing as last time. I'm not gonna do these ones. I don't really have to. And again, for time's sake, I think we'll just do it this way. So I'm going to peel all these off. And I can keep recording instead of splicing it 1,000 times. This is actually the 3rd time I've done this video. The 2nd time I had no volume. I don't know what happened. So again, we got an 1/8 of an inch here. Oopsie. That's throwing fits on me. So lining it up with the bottom. I just want it to be even. Okay. Like that. And now I can burnish it down. And another little tip, if you have something that you think might scratch the acetate, just so like this. I don't even know if you can see it, but if you scratch it, if you're worried about that, put a piece of printer paper on top, and you can burnish it and not have to worry about it. Okay? So I'm going to do that for the 2nd one here. Oopsie. This piece. So start here. Hey, if any of you guys know about a really good glue that sticks to acetate that doesn't goop everywhere, let me know. I know somebody told me that Tombow, that glue Tombow that you get, works well, but I'm telling you, that stuff hates me. That glue hates me. I get it everywhere. So I'd rather just do it this way. And I'm pretty sure glitter glue sticks to it. But because people might be picking this up from the sides and that, I just kind of don't, I haven't tested it thoroughly yet. Okay? So I don't know how well it actually grabs. Okay. Same thing. So again, this piece here, if you're going to use the whole piece, you're going to want to put some glue on this edge or some score tape. So you're going to want to fill the whole thing up. I'm going to trim mine down. 1/8 of an inch again. Because I'm using the score tape. So again, you have that little extra on the side if you're using glue. I'm not using glue. I knew there was a reason I left it there. I just couldn't remember what it was. Okay, so you can also do it this way. Hold it down while you have all your score tape down. Line it up. drop it down. Make sure it's even. Stick it. Give it a little burnish there. Okay. Pick this back up and then peel all my backing off. Okay. There we go. I definitely have a scratchy thing on there, so I gotta be careful. Okay. And I'm just burnishing that down. Okay. So this, like I said, is going to go 1/4 of an inch, or 1/2 an inch in on either side, and 3/8 of an inch from the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and put a layer of glue just around the edges. That's all we have room for. Go along that edge. On this edge. Oopsie. It's going to goop out the bottom now. On this edge. And along this edge. Okay. And I am going to eyeball it. You don't have to. You can take a ruler and set it down at 3/8 of an inch. And then butt it up against there. Put pencil marks if you want. So I'm basically just going to eyeball it like that and set it down. Okay. I'm going to take my dry baby wipe and get the excess glue off of here. And push it down. That's the goopy corner. I gooped it all up. Alright. Go around and just push down and make sure everything's stuck good. Again, just going around with this one here, because you have this piece already glued onto the back. You should squeeze it on both sides. So like that. Alright. See, that's what I got out of there. So I'm going to take that out of there. And as I put it on the side, it should be pretty good. And there's just a little tiny bit there, but that's not enough to worry about really. Alright, that's good. Like that. Okay. Checking the inside, there's no glue. Little tiny bit of glue, but that's no big deal. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do this one. Same thing. Glue around the edge. 1/2 inch on either side. Let's do this first. Oops. Okay, and this edge here. I got baby wipe stuff everywhere. Okay. This one I'm going to eyeball it, because I know what I'm doing now. 3/8 of an inch up. I want to make sure they're even. So 3/8 of an inch is there. Dropping it like that. Making sure it's even on both sides. And dropping it down like that. Okay. Again, squishing the glue out. View over here by turning around. Okay. So again, I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to squeeze it from both sides here. Okay, because I have that and it's preventing me from pushing down and spreading the glue around really well. Okay. So grab another baby wipe here. I'm just getting glue on my acetate. There. Now, I can't really get in there with the baby wipe, so pokey tool and pokey tool. You can use tweezers, whatever you want, and I'm just getting that glue out of there. Okay, there's a little bit there, and we're good to go. Alrighty, now the remaining pieces here. So we have a big guy and two smaller guys. Big guys here. So the big guy goes with the front door. So these pieces here, I just made a little decorative element and I just centered it right there. So again, I'm just gonna put this down, a little thin layer of glue. Drop it down there. Oops, missed a piece there. And I'm gonna center it like this. Center it pretty good, and there, like that. So rather than moving it around, I'm going to use my pokey tool. Okay. Okay, just off that little edge, I can get my cloth in there, and get it out there. Okay, dries clear, like I said. But that's a little too much for my liking right there. So I'm just going to get that out of there now. Okay? And that's how that looks. Alright. This one. And I like to do this all before we attach everything. It just makes life a lot easier. Let me tell you. Once it's on there, you're wrestling with the entire project instead of just these little flat pieces, right? Okay. And I can't get in there, so I'm going to use my book tool again. I think I can get in here, like that. There I have it. Again, it's all squished in there good. It'll dry clear, so I'm not worried. Just taking the bulk of it out. Okay, there we go. Now we need to take our front piece, which is totally dry now, for sure, and put this on the bottom, like that. Okay. I think this you have to center more with the windows, like that. There. Okay. Okay. See on the side. There's a bit there. Okay. And we are good. Front piece, and I'm just going to pull that out of there, like that, and out of that corner. Okay, so there we have that. Next, what we're going to do is, now, we're not doing too bad. I don't think we need two parts here. Okay, so our piece is fitting in there nicely. We got a gap going on, which is nice. That's what we want. So we got our gap on the edge here. All right, and then a gap on the bottom. And we have just a little tiny bit of a gap on the top. And what we're gonna do is, first of all, we're gonna line up our handle. Okay. Now, I didn't want to sandwich the brads in between. I know some people are probably like, you should have sandwiched them in between, but I did not want to do that because it would have added too much bulk and this would not have sandwiched properly. Okay, so if you were to add brads in between here, it wouldn't have glued together properly. So I'm just going to poke a hole right through. That's how I'm going to do that. So I'm going to get my pencil. I'm going to place this. We know this is where the center is, the two holes. Okay, and I'm going to put this in the middle. And I'm going to center it like this. And that's where my handle's going to go. Alright. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark right now where these holes go. And I'm filling it right in. Okay, so that is the holes for my handle. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out, because I'm going to do all this all at once here. I'm going to pull out my hinges. Okay. Oh, I almost have the hiccups. And I'm going to put them where I know I want them to go. So I want this one to go right here. And I'm leaving these two holes here very close to the edge because we're going to glue it as well. Alright. You can center it if you want. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to show you why. So if you look in behind, okay, if you don't want to snip the brads off, the door will actually hide it. Okay, so if you want to do that, you got to go right to the edge. Okay, with your holes. So here's what I mean. If you want to not snip off the ends of your brads, take these two holes and put them right up against, not right against it, but put them over far enough, okay, so that they're very close to this edge, and the inside of the door will hide it. I mean, you're not really going to see it. It's not a big deal. I am going to go in the center, okay, because if I go in the center, it just gives a little more stability. Alright, so I'm centering this with this piece here, and you can use a pencil and mark it off. I'm literally just going to drop this right in the center, and I'm going to push this a little down, not super hard, just enough to mark where I want my holes to go. Okay, so there's one, and then I'm going to do the second one down here. I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm eyeballing it. I'm going center of this piece right here. So from here to here, I'm going in the middle. And I'm going to center this onto here. And again, I'm going to poke my holes in the center, and it's just a guide for now. I'm going to go back and poke them all the way through. Okay, so that's my center. What I'm going to do is take this apart, and you can push it all the way through, okay? This here, you can poke this through, and that'll be enough for your brad. But you want to make sure you get it right through, all the way through to the other side. And because there's acetate in there, it's going to be a little tough. So I won't lie to you and say it's going to be easy. So that's that. Now, you'll see how that little piece is sticking up there? I don't want that. So you can either cut it off, get your razor, give it a little cut off, whatever you want to do. I'm going to use my hole punch and try to get rid of that. Okay, so I'm going to do it from this side. And for all of these, I am going to use my hole punch because I love my hole punch. And it just fits on this project really good. So I'm lining up that hole. That. Now I don't have to worry about that piece of paper sticking up there. If you have that piece of paper, you'll want to sand that off or clip it off with scissors or do what you will. Like I said, I'm going to use my hole punch like that. Okay, let's see if I can get this into here. I'm going to mark this a little better with a pencil so you can see it. seeing those is a little bit difficult, I gotta tell you. And I find with the lead and the pencil makes it kind of shiny. Then I can pick it out a little better. Alright, this is just a teeny tiny little hole punch. And it goes right through there like butter. Like a hot knife through butter. And I still can't see it. Why? I found it. There it is. There's one. Can't see it again. There it is. And it's a little difficult to find this and center it, but I know I'm going all the way through, and I know I have enough room for all of my brads. I don't have to mess with it. Okay. And like I said, it goes right through the acetate and everything. I have to wrestle with that. I don't know if you can get these at Michael's. I'm pretty sure they still make them. If you guys like this perfect punch, drop me a line. I'll see what I can do for you. Set you up. Okay. So, get that over there. Okay. There we go. That little piece too. A little bigger. Okay. These little dotty dot things. Okay, so for the handle, I'm going to put that on last because it sticks way up and it drives me crazy. Alright, so I can't really get my brads in for these, so I'm going to put that on after the fact. Alright, so firstly I'm going to put these on, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue it. So you can either run a little bit of glue along here and in between here, okay, and you can kind of spread it out a little bit, okay, because this is Craftex and it will not crack like cardstock. That's why I use these. Okay, and then I'm gonna not put glue on my acetate window because that would just stink after all that work, and I'm gonna let that one dry, and I'm gonna glue the other one. So I'm just lining up the holes. Okay, so you can see there's my holes. Okay, so taking this, I'm gluing it down and I'm lining it up with the holes I just punched. So a little bit there. There. I think that's quite a bit, quite a lot. Okay, I'm wiping the finger off and dropping that on there, and I don't have to worry about anything because I already have my holes and it's all going to line up perfect. Okay. Second thing I'm going to do now is drop my brads into the 3 holes on this side. Okay, 3 holes on this side. Dropping my brads in. Alright. Like I said, I like to do this first, because once I put that handle on, it makes everything stick up a lot. And then I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to line my brads up so that they're facing this way. Okay, and because that hole is big enough, I can do that. Alright, so like that, like that. Okay, and this one I want it facing this way, back and forth. Okay, and I'm just going to set these brads really good. Alright, so like that. Okay, and do the same for the other ones. Make sure they're turned the right way here. That one's the right way, and that one's the right way. of bunching up, so I'm kind of offsetting this one from the other one before I set it in stone. I don't want them doubling up because then it's too thick for my door. Alright, and then again, this one faces that way. Okay. That, and like that. Okay. And I'm trying real hard not to trash my acetate, so I'm being very careful. Okay. There you have it. So those are in and secured and glued, and they are not going to come off. Okay? Like that. So again, if you want to, you can snip these off. Before you do that, I would suggest you put some glossy accents or some of the Super Tea glue in there and drop it in right in the center. So you're going to drop it in the center of each one. Let it sit, let it dry. Don't attach it to the telephone booth in case you glue it to the actual whole entire booth. Okay, drop them right in the center and then snip it off. Okay, that's how I do it. Everybody can do it their own way here. So now my paint's dry, I can scratch everything off of that magnet too. And I'm going to do all of my magnets eventually. Okay, I'm just going to leave those because it doesn't bother me. Okay, it's not bothering me one little tiny bit. So now I'm going to take my handle. Okay, and with the handle, I'm going to make sure it's on there good. There's a screw on the back here. Just make sure it's screwed on tight, in case I didn't do that tight for you. Alright, and I'm going to use glossy accents. Or some form of, you can use crazy glue too, but I'm going to use glossy accents just because I have it here, and crazy glue is crazy, right? Oh, maybe I'm not going to use the glossy accents. Let's see. Okay, yes I am, maybe. Let's see if I got it. And what I do is I just drop the glossy accents like that. Don't do that. Okay, that's a little much. Now I need another baby wipe. Okay, so at least it works now. And I'm just putting a thin coat. I don't want it to be that thick, that's for sure. And I'm putting a thin coat on here because it's shiny, so I don't want it to glue both the sides. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my brads and I'm going to put them in these holes. I'm going to put this one in first, okay, because I don't want to mess it up. So I'm going to hold it in there because I have a little handle, and I'm actually going to put it in the hole, and then I know, I know it's lined up in that hole. And then I'm going to take the second one and I'm going to put it in the other hole. And again, you can drop glossy accents in the holes first, okay, but I'm just going to bend these brads back. And I'm turning it, maybe. And this is what I mean. So this is really 3D. It's sticking up. So it's going to be a little bit of a chore trying to set this brad without the other one falling out. Okay. But I think I got it. So I want it to be facing straight up and down. There we go. I got it that time. Okay. I'm holding the brad on the other side. And I'm going to do my second one. I'm going to make sure it's facing the right way. So I'm going to twist it. Twist it a bit more here. And these brads are barely going to grab on here, but they're mostly for decoration because you're gluing it down with the glossy accents. Okay, but I still want it to look good. So I'm just twisting these. Now I have a little pair of tweezers here. That's going to help me. Just spread that apart a little tiny bit so that it gives something to grab onto here. Now I'm going to lay it down. Okay, so we're good. Alright. And I'm holding it in behind with my finger. Like that. Okay. Also, if you want to, so if you have a cutting mat like I have, you can set it on the edge of the table here and just push it down, and that gives you some leverage. Okay? Because you're actually pushing on the brad at that point. So I use my left hand for this one. Okay. And then I'm going to push it down like that. So now that is set in there really, really well. Okay, and you want it, you don't want it sticking up at all, okay, because it's going to impede on this magnet grabbing. Magnet's pretty strong, they're very good magnets, so I'm not worried too much about it. And I want you to let that dry in case there's glossy accents on this handle. If you're in a rush, like I am all the time, you can just wipe off the excess here of your glossy accents so that when you snap it into the door here, it doesn't stick. That would stink. Okay, we do not want that. Okay, so that is how that goes. Isn't that just adorable? Like, I could make a card out of this. I could make just an album out of the front of this, man. I love that handle. Okay, enough of that sucking. Okay, so now what I want to do, because I've gone in the middle, I'm going to have enough room, and I don't have to mess around with my construction corner. But what I'm doing is I'm burnishing this down. I'm going to push this back here so you guys aren't staring at my garbage. Okay, so I pushed it down. So you see what I did there? And I'm just making it bend to my will. Okay, and I'm putting that right in like that. And this is how we are going to do this. So either way, whether you've got these right up in the edge or not, it doesn't matter. You have to score this really well. Okay, take your pencil or your poking tool or whatever you're going to use. Okay, and again, this one pop back up again. And I'm just going to hold that while it's scored in there, and I'm going to mark the center of each of these holes. There's one. There's two. I'll mark this one now. And I'm going to burnish this really well, and it's Craft Tech, so it's pretty awesome stuff, but you really got to burnish it if you want it to stay there. So I'm going to put a mark there, and a mark there. I'm going to pick this up. Okay. And again, I have my hole punch. You don't need your hole punch. You can just go right through. Okay, to the other side with your tool. And you have to have a hole big enough to fit a brad in. So let's see if I can do this without struggling. There's one. Oh, so far so good. There's two. There's one. There's two. And here's three coming up. Flopping around. Find it. Oh, there's one. I don't know which one it is, but there's the last one. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to take these pieces, put in the garbage. Now, put put the lid back on this. I'll be poking it with needles again soon. Okay. Because I'm using the Craft X, okay, I can actually use my art glitter glue. It works really well with Craft X. So again, I'm going to snap that in there. Alright. And at this point, you're going to need the edge of a table for setting these brads. So just like I showed you when I took this and I flipped it off to the edge, you may need that. So I'm making sure my door's in there, making sure I got all my gaps, top and bottom, holes are lining up perfect. It's all good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift this up, and you can either glue this side or this side, it doesn't really matter. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue in the hole and in the middle, and then I can spread it around because I want to make sure I don't glue my door shut. Alright, so we're going to go like that. Let's line it like that. Okay. Like that and like that. Okay, so while I'm at it, I'm going to drop these brads in these holes. Oops. These are all lined up. And I can flip it over before the glue dries. And I'm double dutying. Okay, so then I'm going to push all these through. And now we have a little bit of glue on the brads as well. Okay. Okay, make sure it's all burnished in there. And I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to hold it. If you got enough glue, you should be okay. And I'm going to turn these around, these brads here. Again, I might need my tweezers just to give it a little spin. Like that. Okay, and now I'm just going to do it lightly right now because they're going to go poking back the other way if I do it too hard. Okay, and again, don't double up. Actually, you don't have to worry about this one. You can put them right on top of each other if you want, because this is going to be on the inside and you're never going to see it. And someone's in there with a magnifying glass looking for it. So I'm just turning those in the right direction, bending that down, bending this one down. Okay, I'm going to push that down with this side. There we go. And maybe use this. I'll try to set it up. Oh yeah, that'll work. So I can just use something that's sticking up a little higher. Okay. Help me just a little tiny bit. And there we go. So then you want to open the door and make sure no glue got in there. So like, see right there? Take that off of there. So your door doesn't glue shut. We don't want that. Right? So there you go. Okay. There you have it. Bam. Door is done. Okay. This is quite a bit of time. Guys, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to split this up for you, okay?